Okay, so here we are at, well, let me introduce myself. So I'm Sally Kalora. I have a show on Waltham Community Access television called Around Town. I've been doing it for 35 years, and it's the greatest hobby ever. And so this gentleman right here, this guy, is my Uncle Angelo, and tomorrow, July 22nd, he's going to be 95 years old. 95. That's a big 95 years old. Uncle Angelo is an Italian American. My grandparents, his parents came from Sicily a long, long time ago, and they lived the American dream. They owned their own home, and Uncle Angelo is a painter by gift. He did have some training, very briefly, because he got a full scholarship, had to leave to support Nana and Nono, right?
Yes, so far everything is correct, yes.
I got it right. And so he made his living sign painting, because you just can't make a living. Even Rembrandt, I'm sure, had a tough time. And
not as tough a time as I did, but he was a lot better.
And Michelangelo, and yeah. So you were sort of named after Michelangelo, right? Kinda?
No, actually, I was named after my grandfather. His name was Michelangelo.
My great-grandfather. Okay, that makes sense. But, so he made his living sign painting. And through that, he and my Aunt Helen, who, she had a birthday last Saturday, the 18th, right, Auntie?
Yeah.
Auntie's over there, but she doesn't want to be on camera. I don't blame her. Neither do I, really. But I have to. How old are you? How young are you?
92.
92. So there's a 3-year age difference between the two of them. So Aunt Helen had her own career, working as secretary and bookkeeper and accountant, yeah, right in Waltham, and hailed from Needham, Massachusetts. So Uncle Angelo grew up in Waltham. We all went to Sacred Heart Church.
Correct, yes. That's where we went for spiritual exercises, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Spiritual exercises, like. So now you continue to paint with one eye, vision in one eye. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, that's the one eye is a result of, in old age you start developing all these various type of afflictions, and one of the many that we have, fortunately I don't have many, but my wife and I, we have his and hers glaucoma. And as a result of flooding my eyes with drops of various kinds over the years, one of them didn't work any longer, so my left eye gave up, and I lost my vision to glaucoma in the left eye.
But you still paint.
And I still paint with one eye.
Amazing. With one eye. I can't paint with two.
Yeah.
It's a gift. I mean, you were given a gift, because you only had like 1 year of actual training in art school.
Yeah, well, actually, I came out of high school with a 3-year scholarship. And it was a 3-year scholarship, half tuition scholarship, for 3 years. Mm-hmm. The School of Practical Art used to be on Newbury Street, mm-hmm, in town here in Boston. And that would have been a great 3 years if they continued the way they were. I was fortunate enough to receive the dean's list there on that. Only 2 students did receive that list the first semester. Yours truly and Big Bird.
Big
Remember
Bird.
who Big Bird
Yeah.
was?
Yeah.
Remember? What was his name? Carol Spinney.
Carol, yeah, I was going
Carol
to say it's a
Spinney.
girl's name. Carol Spinney, and you knew him back at school,
At school, I met him at school.
In Boston.
And I met him because we both were lucky enough to get
in art school.
to get that award.
But he was able to finish, and then you
Oh
left.
Carol. He finished and he went to service. He went to service and he did some artwork while he was in the service for military publication. And then when he came out, he somehow teamed up with the puppeteer. I can't remember his name, but
I remember. I can't remember his
Yeah.
name either, but it's
Mupp-
Sesame Street, the Muppets.
I
Yeah,
used the
Yeah.
Muppets. And then he, to make a long story short, he ended up as Big Birds with Sesame Street.
yep.
Sesame Street, you know.
And he was still was a cartoonist and all that
That's
too.
right.
Yeah, yeah, and he's continued to live locally, but I think they were out of New York or whatever for Sesame Street, and
Yeah, he
he had
eventually,
quite the career.
yeah, they lived in Connecticut. He had
Yeah.
a large 75-acre farm in Connecticut. He did very well, Carol did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was with the Sesame Street people for a number of years there.
Right.
And, and that's...
He lived to a fairly ripe old age.
Yes, yeah, he did. As a matter of fact, it was only, as I can recall, we are at 2026 now, and I think he passed away about 5 or 6 years ago.
Right, right. So I'll tell you, Uncle, the reason why I wanted to do this live thing with you is you're at the point in your life that you have thousands of books. Number one, you're an avid reader like Uncle Charles. The two of you always had that hunger to learn, to explore, to gain knowledge, and you still don't stop. You still do it all. And you never gave up on your art. And down in the basement, which I'm going to take you folks down to his studio down in the basement, where you have literally dozens of paintings that I would really like to help you sell. At 95 years of age, people should know who you are. People should own your artwork. Your art should be out there, because when you paint, and I'm sure as an artist, you don't paint just to paint. There's something, tell me if I'm wrong, you create something that you hope goes out there. Sort of a legacy in a way.
Yeah.
That people will remember who Angelo Urso is.
Well, of course, you know, everybody has to have some means of expression, some way of expression, and that just happens to be mine.
Right.
Art. I can express things through art, things that I like to identify with, and I have been doing it ever since, as long as I can remember. And I did it. I ended up using art as a vocation, and both as an avocation. After after I retired from, as I say, from a graphic artist. I was a graphic artist in signs. That's what I did most of my life, to keep the wolves away from the door. I tried to get into fine arts, but I find that's, number one, you have to be very good to get into fine arts, and you have to be very original. My art was more or less naturalistic, realistic in the main, and
So I'm going to stop you and I'm going to correct you, because what I'm going to show people when we go downstairs, your painting of Michelangelo, your painting of Cardinal Cushing, those paintings are beyond realistic, beyond real, and fine detail. When you had your vision many, many, many years ago, and one of your paintings, and I remember it because, and I'm going to say hi to my dear friend Michelle and Dave. They're watching right now. So look, I was down by the Charles River. You remember the painting? You had your easel set up, and I went down there and watched you paint, watched you sketch. Do you remember the Edison Company?
Yes, I most certainly
So
do.
you were down at the Charles River, and you were painting the Edison Company, which was right on Elm Street, and you were painting the smokestack out of where I now live, the historic Francis Cabot Lowell Mill, Auntie. And you were painting, you were sketching that whole thing, and I watched you paint that. Now there's a story behind that painting, because you did that when, 1950 something?
Yeah, it was
60
they had
something?
just completed rebuilding the Elm Street Bridge,
Right.
and I was painting from a vantage point, which was where the old beach used to be at the McKenna
The
Playground.
beach at McKenna Playground. It was a beach, folks.
When
And-
the Charles River was fishable and swimmable,
And,
you know.
and you see, at the shoreline, you can see the little fish swimming. Well, you can't see that now. Now you see the litter. But anyway, that painting was bought many decades later by Vinnie Mueller to give to his father. Did you know that?
Well, I know it because I was the one that sold it to him.
Well, no. Did you know it was for his dad, or did you think?
I had no
okay.
idea what they were going to.
So
it was good. I told him the painting would go well in his office since he's close to the river itself,
Right.
the Charles River, the
Right,
business.
right.
Boston Bark.
Right.
He was the owner of Boston
Boston
Bark.
Bark and Mulch, yeah, Boston Bark and Mulch. And so Vinnie Mueller gave it to his dad. Well, when his dad passed away, Vinnie Mueller gave that painting to Mayor McCarthy for the Waltham, that her little, I shouldn't say her, our little museum in the basement of City Hall that she created. And there's like, I'm telling you folks, if you have time this summer or fall, call the mayor's office and arrange through Paula to go down and look at that beautiful little museum. So your painting is right down there, prominently displayed on the wall down in the little Waltham Museum, not to be confused with the Waltham Museum on Lexington Street, but the little Waltham Museum down in the basement of City Hall. And they have recreated a portion of the embassy lobby. You peek in the door and there's like a recreation of the embassy lobby and the chateau and that sort of thing. So your painting is hanging there.
Well, actually, that painting is a view of the river looking upstream, and it shows the newly constructed Elm Street Bridge, and behind it is the trestle, which
Right.
is for the spur, the Boston Main train spur, which passed through over the river to the south side of Waltham,
Right.
and the behind that trestle was is the mill where you reside now. The mill
Francis
where you
Cabot
reside.
Lowell Mill.
Is the
part of
mill
history.
with
Yeah.
the smokestack, with
Yeah,
that
yeah.
huge smokestack, and so we have three elements, some of which no longer exist anymore in that painting.
trestle.
For instance, the trestle has now been
Right.
dismantled. I understand it's not there anymore,
Yeah.
and so the painting does at least leaves a memory of these structures, that were once very necessary ones for part of the economy of the city itself.
Oh,
so,
yeah, and beyond.
yeah.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing with you and your art, you. So when I mention Angelo Urso now to people, is he the guy that painted the signs? Was he the guy that lettered all the trucks? I said, yeah, that's him. And I continue to run into people over at my little Dunkin' Donuts coffee clutch, and people go, these heating oil guys and all that. Yeah, your Uncle Angelo he lettered all my trucks. So so in addition to like being a fine artist, you were also lettering everybody's trucks, including Valorant, Guy Valorant, and the painters.
Yeah, there are a lot of the local businesses,
Yeah.
many of which don't exist any longer, but...
Guy's still painting.
Yeah.
One of them, the son is Bobby Valorant. He's still painting. He's a really good painter. Yeah. I mean, painting houses, rooms. Yeah. He's he's really good at what he does, and he remembers you, and a lot of people really remember you from the sign painting.
Yeah, well, some of those signs still exist here and there.
I know, because I know your
Some-
style. I can pick them out. I can pick out your signs.
But the sign painting was the only way I could use whatever meager ability that I had to keep the wolves away from the door. I had to go commercial, which is the signs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would love to stay with the fine arts.
And you put your son through. You and Aunt Helen put your son through Boston College.
Yes,
You do what you have to do to raise your family. You know, you can't wait for somebody to come along and buy your fine art painting. But I have to say hi, Biagio. Hi, Biagio. And Ron is watching, and Lindy. I love you, Lindy. She's watching too. Thank you. This is my uncle. I love him. So you still paint. But you know what really bothers me about you is you can't leave a painting alone. He goes back and he adds stuff. Am I right, Aunt Helen? He adds stuff to something that's perfect. You can't go beyond perfection. And you put like a mouse in a painting. Remember that one?
Well, actually, there's an old saying that says,
A bird.
says a painting is never finished. A painting is never finished. Because many times
And you're so right.
You go back to
But
it.
it's yours.
Yeah, you have to go back to a painting because sometimes there are corrections, because you look at things from different perspectives as we get older, and you make changes, and that's one of the main reasons you go back to make changes in the painting. So.
Yeah. I'm looking at the lobster right now. You got a twin lobster over there. Am I correct? Yeah, twin lobster, and the broth, and the 3 lemons, and like a little fly. You do like detail. So did you add any of that after you painted the original painting?
I certainly did.
Oh, see what I mean?
I certainly did. Because looking at it 10 years later, I found that there were a lot of errors in the painting that had to be corrected. So
What
that's
error?
one thing. So
What error? You have is that beer? You got beer?
well, there's all the common elements that make a painting.
What's that, olive oil over there?
Interesting. Well, it's got what goes along with.
I'm
lobster.
showing people this
What goes
afterwards.
along with lobster? It has all those elements in there. When you have a lobster dinner, and I try to introduce them in the painting, just to make it interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
And then also the challenge in being able to take
Right.
these objects and to reproduce them on a 2-dimensional surface, and to try to make them look, as
Perspective.
as perspective and as organized as possible in order to make the painting interesting to look at.
Yeah. Rose
'Cause nothing really-
Rose Scalise is watching too. Hi, honey. She said hi, Auntie.
Oh, Rose Scalise.
So she is Brian Scalise's spouse.
Oh, that Rose Scalise. Okay.
My
When you said
my new niece. Not so new
When
niece.
you mentioned Rose Scalise, I immediately thought of his grandmother.
Yeah. And Rose Scalise lives, So why don't we, now that people know a little bit about you, why don't I take them for a little tour? And they can, and if anybody sees anything that they might be interested in to collect, let me know. I mean, I would love to see your work out there. I really would.
Well, as you said earlier, I have a plethora of paintings, and
Plethora.
we have a very small unit here that we're living in, this condominium.
It's a little condo. It's cute though.
And so, as I say, I turned my basement into not only a studio for working, but it's also become a gallery. And
It has become a gallery.
and
We're going to be like going through paintings because they're not like out everywhere. Well, they are, but
so
we're
I'd like
gonna
to
go-
find a way of getting rid of some of these paintings because
don't say
it's so
get rid
small.
of them.
The basement's so small, I painted myself into a corner here. So.
You have. But you know what? It's good that you keep doing it.
Yeah.
It really is your legacy, Uncle.
Well,
It really is. I mean, if people still remember him from truck lettering and the signs and the paintings, I mean that's worth everything.
Well, first of all,
Right.
when I was in the lettering business, it was an art that required. We were in a transition period where everything was done by hand. Everything was done by hand.
No,
and
just
the,
let it ring.
And
That's probably span anyway, right? I mean, whatever it is.
and now, of course, with the computer, with the advent of the computer, everything is now.
Right.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're going to ignore it. They get a lot of these calls.
Yeah, as I say, what I did by hand is now generated by computer.
Right.
The computer.
Right,
So the
right,
art
right.
has changed.
Right.
We're in a position historically as this art of sign making and sign painting evolved, where the calligraphers were when printing was established. When printing in 1460, when printing came along with the German Gutenberg,
Right.
that changed, that revolutionized everything, and that's what the whole business of signs. The whole art has been revolutionized. What was done by hand is now done primarily electronically by computer.
But you were doing it by hand.
Yeah.
I remember taking the kids, like young Rocco, when he was a little boy, and I think it was young Rocco and maybe Vanessa or one of the kids, and there you were on your little stool beside the driver's side of the truck, and you were doing this, guiding your talent, your hand. Yeah, I remember those things. I still remember those little details. All right, you're going to follow me, or we're going to go downstairs?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
You know the
So-
logistics of getting down there, so we'll go downstairs.
Yep.
To the basement.
And meanwhile, while we're getting up and walking toward the basement, I'm turning this around. So this is his painting of the lobsters. And what did you add? The lemons? The fly? Angelo Urso. And so that's one of...
That's not just a fly, you can see through the wing of the fly.
You can. You made it translucent, and the butter. That's cool. And so this is their living room, and over here is this where you spent your honeymoon?
No, that's Eastern Point in Gloucester.
Oh, in
That's
Gloucester.
Eastern Point,
Okay,
Gloucester, yeah.
okay. And so these are not for
We
sale.
visited that place frequently. Yeah.
And was this in Sudbury, Uncle?
No, that's a composite. There's a church in Vermont. And it was a photograph originally. The photograph, just a plain photograph.
Yeah.
And then I added all of the wildlife
Right.
and the snow shoveler there, just to make the composition interesting.
Right. The little
Cardinal.
male and female cardinals. And the squirrel, the blue jay. It's almost like it's a challenge to see all the wildlife that you put in. And,
Helen?
this is yours too, Uncle.
Helen? Take it off the hook.
And this is just a still life.
Yeah, that's these. When I first met my wife, my mother-in-law, we were visiting. She used to grow asters. Her favorite flowers are asters and marigolds.
Wow.
So one day she picked a bouquet, and I said, "Well, I'll do a picture for you." And there it is. That's it.
Lucky auntie. Okay, and this I love too. You decided you were going to paint your condo.
Yeah, that's a condominium. That's where we're living in right now. Yeah,
Yep,
that's our
in
little neighborhood
Acton.
here.
Yep.
So as you can see, it's a beautiful place. It's where we're
Yeah.
living. It sounds like a park here.
It's
There's
very
plenty
nice.
of breathing room around the residences.
Right, right. Okay, so we're going to go downstairs. We're going to head downstairs. And we're walking. And here we go. Watch your step.